I'm kicking in your front. Great peeping in your drapes. Rob making a plate in the back. Chief Hall Podcast. Chief Hall Podcast. Chief Hall Podcast. Chief Hall Podcast. Right now.
I'll push back a little bit, not to be controversial, but
I want you to be.
But that's a myth. So this country, I know we say it, but it wasn't founded on godly principles. It is said that it was, but it wasn't. You can't be founded on godly Christian principles and want to slice off the head of every Native American that you see, or rape every black woman that you see. You understand? So so to say it was what it was founded on was the ability to get money and to get away from popes and kings to establish our own situation. The original founders, Thomas Jefferson and so forth, they were deists. They weren't Christians. So they were not. So I know we say that a lot, but I want to make sure that people have a factual thing, because again, my whole mission, I'm a businessman and I believe in God and so forth, but I want to make sure that those who are questioning faith, are questioning whether or not God is real, that they don't hear these kinds of normal things that's become part of our society to say that this country is founded on Christian principles. And then they look back and say, well, why is there so much atrocity?
That's what happens.
Why is there so much racism? Now, I don't want to be a part of that. So I want to be able to say, no, they said the words. There were people who were enslaving people who would quote the Bible. And so people say, well, I don't want to be a Christian because, the slave master. No, they misquoted the Bible.
You have a lot of that happening.
Yeah, you can't blame the faith for people misquoting something.
Exactly. Thank you.
But now, I mean, America was the only country that allowed those that were fleeing persecution religious liberty.
Religious liberty.
Yeah. So America was the only country where you could come and you could live and accept. You could be a Catholic. You could be whatever in America. Nowhere else allowed that. So it was founded on that principle of religious liberty, freedom to worship who all you accept.
As long as we like you. So I'm not again fighting. As long as we like what you're doing. So that was part of it too.
It's worse now, but then,
right. But even then, because Catholics were mistreated, right? If you were Catholic,
here, though.
No, it was a Protestant thing. Remember JFK in the '60s running for president. The reason why that was a big thing was because he was a Catholic person. They did not feel he was required. So it wasn't. So again, not to whatever, but the idea and the concept is always nice. The application is where we mess up.
Well, always,
And Catholicism is a whole nother story.
Whole nother story, right? Another discussion. But my point is just that it wasn't about you could do whatever you want, worship whatever you want. The reason why Salem witch things, while they were burning people to determine whether or not they were witch, because if you just looked a little bit different, if you just act a little different.
In certain places.
So it wasn't about the freedom of whatever you choose to. We just, live and let live. It was still about if it was something we liked.
But we wasn't killing nobody for what they believed. They were fleeing for that. That came later.
So here's the thing. So how do we reach, talking about all of this, which is very, very important. How do we reach the youth today? Because there are youth ministries out there and people out here who are doing really good at what they do. I don't want to knock that at all.
Sure.
But then also we're losing. It feels like we're losing. It feels like I'm not going to.
We are. Statistically, we are.
Yeah, statistically, we're losing people. Yeah. So how do we grab them back right now? Because now, gospel rap has been coming out, and people feel like I can gravitate to that, and all these little different things right now. So how do we grab? What do you think we should do to help grab the youth back and just pull them off these streets a little bit? You're gonna leave some on the streets, but how do we pull some out and save the few that are listening?
I mean, I don't think it's a one size fits all scenario,
That's
right?
True.
It's the reality is that we have to get our house in order. As Frank mentioned, things were different maybe 50 years ago, but that means that those of us who raised this generation are to blame. And sometimes we don't want to take that accountability, right? And so we raise this generation to say, I don't really care about church as much. Or when our parents were consistently going, we would go whenever we felt like it, not recognizing our kids were watching that.
Yeah, and even though we were raised to go all the time.
All the time, we said, I don't want to go all the time. And then our kids said, well, I don't need to go all the time either. So we went less than our parents. Now our kids go less than us. So we're to blame for some of those things.
Their kids ain't going to go.
Right. Correct. So again, I think part of it is being able to have the real discussions of getting back to why am I going to church? Why do I have faith? And if we don't answer those questions, I think we need to start there first. And if you can intelligently express why I have a faith system, why I know that God kept me when that accident was hitting or whatever it is, right? My faith has kept me through this. Then we got to be able to pass that on in real clear conversations, right?
Especially in our lives.
But I don't think we can beat them over the head with the Bible. There are a lot of the younger generation, they don't even believe it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to have a real discussion about what is the old school evangelist thing, which is what has Christ done for you or what has faith done for you? So you can always debate whether or not this is true, that's true, but what you cannot debate is the effect it's had on my life.
And we should teach the kids too that you don't have to be in a physical church nowadays. Actually, is that a thing now? You don't really need to be in a physical church.
You said teach the kids that.
I mean, can we also teach them that?